Happy Friday Fun Day, everyone! Yay! Well, I have to keep this one shorter because I tried to record a much longer video and my phone's like, nope, you're done. I had intended to read some of my old fan fiction. I was really obsessed for a long time with Ninja Turtles, Star Trek. Star Trek's probably the longest one. Star Wars, actually. Then Star Trek. Then Ninja Turtles. Then Sequest. And I have, like, I was reading, oh my gosh, a whole bunch of my old stories. And actually not even my oldest ones, because I can't find my oldest ones right now. And those are the ones I wanted to read. But I have, like, a ton of stories. And these are the ones I read last night. And these are the ones I put aside because I just didn't have time to read. They're all from old notebooks in elementary school through high school. And it looks really self-absorbed, but the truth is I didn't really have a diary and lived a rather sheltered, boring life. And so I put myself in a lot of interesting situations. And I think it was my way of, like, purging or coping with strong feelings, because a lot of them, like, had to do with emotions, or, you know, a certain thing happened at school and I made up a new person who was me, but was somebody else, and kind of put them through the same situation. I was reading one, I'm like, oh my word, girl. I'm so glad that never got out. And none of them were ever for publication. I never planned to publish, pretty much. I mean, maybe there were a couple things where I'm like, yeah, this could be published. Like my Star Trek fiction, because I did read Star Trek fiction. I read Star Trek books, and I wanted to write a Star Trek book. But I'm going to tell you that this was just, it was so bad. But I'm going to share it with you right now. Later on, I will share Ninja Turtle fiction when I have a bigger card. But here's the first one. Oh, my husband just got home. So this is probably the first draft of this story. It's even written in the Star Trek font that you might see on the front of one of the books. And in my little 5th or 6th or 7th grade handwriting. I think it was like 6. I think it was like 12 or 13. Because my 12-year-old handwriting improved. 13-year-old handwriting. So I don't know. Alright, anyway, it's called Felony. And it's terrible. So I'm just going to read you this little bit, and maybe later I'll read you other iterations of it, because it's cringeworthy. But this one's kind of funny. Raleigh Latoro was on her way to 10 Forward with her friend Chala, a Rainian Quats. This animal is always friendly. Guinan didn't usually allow pets in the lounge, but Chala was an exception. Chala looked exactly like a chinchilla, but had big brown eyes like a newborn fawn. The Quats always stayed on Raleigh's shoulder and kept quiet, except for small chitters every once in a while. Once in a while is all hyphenated. I don't know why. Raleigh would drink her spice cider in silence, until Chala chirped and cuddled by her ear. Then she'd say, "Oh, you sweet thing." She'd pat it, finish her cider, I'll take a sip of coffee right now, and then slip out unnoticed. She wasn't shy, just not very social. Very rarely Guinan would make her way to Raleigh and say hello. Today, though, Raleigh had slipped out unnoticed again. Geordie came over to the bar and looked at the bartender cheerfully. That girl goes in and out like an away team. There's some 5th grade humor right there. Maybe 6th, I don't know. She sure does, Guinan said with a grin. She seems a little antisocial, Geordie guessed. Oh, I wouldn't say that, a voice said from behind them. Geordie recognized the voice, for he had heard it many times. Wesley Crusher, who I had the biggest crush on from day one of Next Generation. That's probably the only reason I warmed up to Next Generation as quickly as I did, because I was a diehard original fan. But you put a cute boy on there and I'm hooked. Sequest is another one. Geordie looked at the boy and grinned. Why? He asked. She's very, very friendly. Raina 1 is known for its politeness. She doesn't speak until she's spoken to. Wesley smiled at the listeners. How do you know all this, Wes? Guinan asked. I spoke to her. I had to introduce myself first. Did you know that she always has that Rainian Quats with her? No, I didn't, Geordie responded. But how do you know that? I mean, She's on the ship, right? She can't go very far. I'm in all his classes, came yet another voice from behind them. Man, it's just piling up at the bar. It was a soft voice, but one that could be heard. Hello, Wesley. How are you? Raleigh! Why, hello! Did you come for more cider? Guinan asked with a welcoming smile. No, thank you. I was looking for Chala when I heard your conversation. Then with a blush, she said, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. It's just that I had thought you'd seen her. Then for the first time, everyone noticed that Chala was missing from the small girl's shoulder. That fuzzy thing that's always with her. Oh my gosh, it's gone! 5 minutes later. Want me to help you find her? Wes asked. Why, yes, that would be nice of you. Raleigh looked up at him, then added, if it's okay with your friends, I'm very sorry I interrupted your conversation. Oh, it's all right. We don't mind at all, Geordie said. Get lost, Wesley. Wesley looked back at Geordie and Guinan and winked. Out in the corridor, Wesley noticed another thing for the first time. 10 Forward's lights were too dim to see it, but out in the corridor it was as plain as day. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. I am sorry about my appearance. It's just that I feel like the only friend I ever had deserted me. She had a hard time getting the word deserted out. It must have been painful just thinking about her lost pet. Wesley took both of her hands in his and squeezed them like his mom used to do when he was younger. We're going to find Chala, if it's the last thing we do. Little did they know, those exact words might just be in store for them. Dun, dun, dun. Chapter 2! Raleigh and Wes looked everywhere. Pretty soon it would be time for Raleigh to return to her quarters for her dinner. She ran a small but strict schedule. Wesley promised her that he'd keep looking for Chala until his eyes hurt. Raleigh walked to the door of her quarters, and they opened for her. She waved to Wesley and walked in. Wes waited until the doors hissed shut to leave. Inside her quarters, Raleigh heard little chitters coming from under her bed in the next room. Chala! She cried and ran to the bed. But before she could reach it, a hand clamped over her mouth, and an arm grasped her around the waist. Something hit her on the head, and then the world went black. Wesley stifled a yawn. I think I wrote stifled. A yawn as he punched in coordinates at the con. He tried to make it as unnoticeable as possible, but Data noticed. Are you tired, Wesley? You have not been getting adequate. A-D-I-Q-U-A-T-E. Adequate. Sleep for someone of your age, he observed. It's okay, Data. I'll make it until the end of my shift. He yawned again, this time not able to control it. It was so big that it made his jaw make a cracking sound. Wesley, the captain said, take a break. I need you to get some sleep so you won't fall asleep in here. Go take the night off. But sir, Wesley started to protest, but a massive yawn interrupted him. He had no choice but to wearily get up out of his chair and walk what seemed like miles, but was only a few steps to the turbo lift. He's dramatic even in my stories. He turned around to say something, but another yawn took away that liberty, and he entered the turbo lift. As he waited for the lift to get him to his destination, he thought about Raleigh. He decided to check up on her to see if she was all right. The doors opened and he walked out. With renewed energy, he made it to her cabin, and the doors hissed open for him. The sight that lay before him made him gasp. The place was in shambles. Wesley touched his badge. Security to Raleigh Latoro's cabin. Hurry! In a matter of minutes, Worf was towering above him. What is it? He rumbled. Just look! Wesley could barely keep himself calm. Worf looked the mess over. He stepped into the room and then kneeled down by some porcelain figurines on the floor. He growled. Those are not broken. There was no fight. See, Worf has a brain in my story, at least. Sir, you better come see this, a security officer called from the next room. Worf, followed by Wesley, walked into the room. On the floor laid, L-A-Y-E-D-E, laid a motionless Chala. Wesley dropped to his knees. Oh no, she's got to be alive. Raleigh would just die if she knew Chala was dead. To everyone's surprise, Chala moved. Well, hopefully Raleigh's still alive. Chala, you're alive, Wesley exclaimed. He gingerly picked the quats up. Chala was so light, she started to chitter. She jumped out of Wesley's arm and ran to the closet. I think she's trying to tell us something, Wesley observed. Worf walked over to the closet door. When it didn't open, he used the easy way. Computer, security, override lock. The panel slid open. He didn't punch through the door. I mean, that would have been fun, I guess. The panel slid open. A tied and gagged Raleigh Laturo collapsed on the floor. Worf ripped the ropes that bound her off. Then he untied the gag. She greedily gulped in fresh, clean air. "Are you okay, Raleigh?" Wesley asked. "I am now. Thank you. I couldn't have survived much longer in there." She breathed in more air. Then she saw Chala, who was favoring one leg. "Oh, baby, are you hurt?" Raleigh crawled over to Chala. She embraced the quats. She was crying, the tears streaming down her face. "There was no fight in here. They made me wreck the place to make it look like it, but I didn't break my porcelains, so someone would get the message." She was forced to stop while sobs racked her body. I spelled racked right. "I'm so sorry, Chala, so sorry." Wesley kneeled beside her. "Is there anything I can do to help?" he asked her softly. "Not now. I'm going to go to sleep and awaken tomorrow with renewed energy so I can get this place cleaned up." "You look tired," she said to Wes. "I suggest for you to go and get some sleep too. That way you can help me after your shift." "I'm just saying, you know, I'm going to clean my room, but you could come help me clean up this mess." Maybe she's not polite but passive aggressive. Until then, Wesley had been too excited to think about how tired he was. He yawned immensely and got up to leave. That word, as I was reading my old stuff, showed up a lot. Everything is immense. It was my favorite word for a while, I guess. Worf stopped him. "You seem to know a lot about her," he said. "I want to talk to you when you're free." "Yes, sir," Wes replied, and then stumbled down the corridor to his quarters where the comfort of his bed was welcoming. Chapter 3. Worf in my ready room. That's it. That's where it ends. Right there. It stops. So anyway, that was my horrible early childhood Star Trek fan fiction. And that's for you, Lydia. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it brightened your day. I know that things are probably kind of rough right now with family stuff, but I hope that you're getting through it. Riley, your Sims are really interesting. I played Sims like for 5 minutes way back in the Middle Ages. Actually, did we even have Sims? I think we just had SimCity. It was different then. I don't know, but anyway, I think I might have played it just the tiniest bit, like when it was very first came out, but I didn't play it since then. So it looks like it's really interesting now. Joy and Jake, I loved your couples thing, and I laughed out loud at the Nicolas Cage reference. And there was something else that I was going to comment on and I forgot. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next week, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm still going to try to get a video up, but in case our Wi-Fi is crud, I may have to take the Sunday or Tuesday slots next week. But I'll let you know if that happens. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. And enjoy it, enjoy your weekend, and hopefully the weather's nice for you. And I'm just rambling now, and I really need to stop because I don't want to edit this much. Anyway, have fun, bye! Okay, so here's a bonus because I'm a masochist or something. So anyway, here's some cute little illustrations. So the first one, very creatively named Devon. I'm not sure who that could possibly represent. Devon and Anaid, I want to say her name's Anaid, were on the holodeck. I have no idea who that person is, by the way. Soon it wouldn't be like this. Soon they'd have to leave to go to their quarters. Boy, the holodeck is the place to be, huh, Anaid? Yeah, it sure is. Later, that night, Devon heard a noise in her quarters. It sounded like an animal. The ship was orbiting a new planet. Bump, thump, 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 bump. Devon switched on the light, but nothing was there. She looked and looked, then she noticed something strange. There were no stars. It was very strange. Nothing. I know I heard something. No stars? Weird. And cram all those words in there. I had big handwriting back then. Devon went outside her quarters. Red alert! She hadn't been notified. She wanted to find out what was wrong when all of a sudden the intruder alert went off. Why isn't anyone in the halls? Red alert, but I didn't hear anything. Intruder alert, intruder alert. And then that's the end. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. I've grown up, right? Have a great weekend.